listening to the Straight to Video podcast with Rob Lane.
Hey, how's it going? Hope you're well, and thank you for checking out my podcast, Straight to Video. As always, I'm your host, Rob Lane, a nearly 50-year-old Rob Lane after celebrating my birthday this week. So I want to start by thanking everyone for the amazing birthday wishes online. For those that came along to my party this past weekend, it was so lovely to see so many friends, some who I'd not seen for a few years, and just got to have a great evening. Only seems like a couple of years since I turned 40, so I'd like life to slow down just a little, if possible. And speaking of time moving so fast, it doesn't seem that long ago that I was ordering bass tuition videos from today's guest and trying my hardest to learn at least a tiny bit of the bass magic he manages to do. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome none other than Billy Sheehan to the Straight to Video podcast, arguably one of the most amazing and talented bass players of all time, who I've always looked up to, not just in his incredible playing, but just in the way he carries himself and puts himself across in interviews. Whilst his playing is next level and out of this world, when he sits down and describes what he's doing, he's always humble and really helps make sense of the mind-blowing stuff he can do on the bass. I've wanted to get him as a guest on the show since the very beginning, so I'm incredibly thrilled we finally got to chat, and it was as much fun as I'd hoped. Many know Billy as the bassist for Mr. Big, who have just completed their farewell tour, other than a few select dates in Japan next February, but he is also known for his breakout band Talas, performing with David Lee Roth on the legendary Eat 'em and Smile album and tour, and more recently the Winery Dogs alongside last week's guest Richie Kotzen. As always, this Straight to Video podcast is proudly presented to you in association with Affinity Photo, which is an incredible piece of photo editing software which I use all the time for graphic design. It's used to create the podcast episode artwork you see each week with the cool video covers, and it's an extremely affordable alternative to other programs on the market, so please check them out over at affinity.serif.com. Alright, let's dive into this week's chat. Billy is very active on social media, so be sure to hit him up on whatever platform you use to keep up to date with his amazing career. The new live album from Mr. Big, The Big Finish Live, is available to pre-order now. But right now, please sit back and enjoy my straight to video chat with the legend that is Billy Sheehan. How's things? Good to see you.
Good to see you. What's happening?
So I'm coming to you from kind of near Nottingham in the UK, which I know you're very familiar with.
Oh, I'm very familiar with that. That's right. I'm going to grab my security blanket.
There you go. Which one's that? Is that always the go-to one, the Attitude bass? Is it a road-worn one?
It's a brand new one they gave me when I went to Japan the last time. It had a couple of special things. The finish, you can't see, but it's got kind of a lightweight outline around it. And it's just straight from the factory, and I play it because I didn't set it up. I didn't make it easy to play or lower the action or raise the action or whatever you do. So I like the idea of just playing it right out of the box. And this is right out of the box. So it forces me to push a little harder, and that's good to practice on.
Excellent stuff. How's it feel being back home in Nashville now for a couple of weeks after the huge Mr. Big tour, wrapped up in Romania, I believe, at the end of last month?
Yeah, Romania. Romania was great. They had us at a festival that's just kind of beginning to do better. It's way out in the countryside. Beautiful spot, though. No other major headliners. So it was just us and a bunch of locals, but we had a great time. It was a light crowd, but the advantage of that is they just kind of opened the gate between the audience and the backstage area and let not everyone, that would have been chaos, but let a lot of people come back and take photos and sign stuff, and it was a wonderful thing.
Was there any extra special different words before you all went on stage for that last time?
Not really. We've all known that each night is a very special night because it's our last time there, and had some historic great shows, Belfast and Dublin. I'm an Irishman, so that was cool. Munich was incredible. A lot of wonderful German friends. They came out to all the shows in Germany, and we had people fly in from Korea and Singapore and Japan and South America, all over the rest of Europe and from the USA. So at all the shows, there was always somebody that flew for a day or two travel to get to the show, which was touching. It's really cool.
How was it coming back? Did you have a list of things to do, or is it right back into promotion for the live record that's coming out?
No, I had my home handyman list, which is ever increasing. So I got to a couple of things. My little home studio here, we already started recording for clients. We have a little backup since I've been on tour. So I've told everybody, if you can wait till I get home, I'll play bass on your track. So we got about 20 or 30 things to do. So I'm sitting here making notes on each one so I can record them. We've had an amazing time. During the pandemic, of course, I couldn't perform live, so I never advertised or anything, but people just started writing to me, hey, can you play bass on this, play bass on that? And did it for a reasonable price and gave them the best we could, and we had some just very, very satisfied customers. And we ended up doing, at one point I counted almost 600, but I think I don't know if that's right because it seems impossible. So I think it's more around 350, 400 songs.
How do you approach your playing when it's all different musicians sending you stuff? Because obviously you played with Pat for many years. You get used to his playing and all that kind of stuff. All these random different musicians. Does that expand your playing or push you in different directions?
Does both of those things. And we get, from non-professionals too. And sometimes we get stuff that was, ooh, man, I sit and look at my engineer and think, what are we going to do with this? Let's see. I learned early on, I got to hear it first before I say yes. I got myself in trouble without doing it a couple of times. We managed to get through it. But I learned a great thing, and it's not a new thing. I know other people know this very well. And I don't mean it about my playing or my bass, but when you take a disparate, not totally congealed together track and put proper bass on it, wow, it's a different world. We'd look at each other and go, holy cow, there's a song in there.
It's that important glue.
Bass is kind of known for kind of being the glue holding between time and melody. And it really became apparent, especially on some songs that were, like I said, not totally pro, but they turned out good. We had no dissatisfied customers, at least they didn't tell me.
How was they sending them? Was it like finished tracks with drums, guitar, and vocal, and you were just adding the bass, or was it just variations?
Just about everything you could imagine. Separate tracks, we put in a Pro Tools, an MP3 with bass, and MP3 without bass. We put it on two things and go to the original under reference to make sure we're getting the chord changes right. All kinds of configurations. But it was a good kind of challenge because it forced it to think on our feet and come up with an idea. What if we do this? And sometimes I wasn't sure if they wanted wild, crazy-ass bass or whole notes and root notes. So I'd do two passes and do one just really simple. And then I said, I'll go nuts. And you cut the parts in that you think are appropriate. And that was a successful thing, too. It's a great adventure.
Every day's a new challenge.
Every day.
The new live album, The Big Finish Live, I believe that was recorded earlier on in the tour at the Budokan in Japan. I mean, Japan, that's somewhere that really embraced Mr. Big throughout their entire career. Do you have any specific memories of going there for the very first time and how it was to come full circle on the farewell tour?
Oh, absolutely. The first time I went there to do bass clinics with Yamaha. In Tokyo, the name of the venue was NHK Hall. I didn't mean anything. I didn't know what NHK Hall was. So I flew in, and they were going to make a big promotion of it all. So I flew in, I landed, I came through customs, and there was camera crew right there with, cables this big and boom mics, and I had no idea. Like, hey, how you doing? Make sure I look presentable after a 20-hour flight or whatever it was, 18 hours. So then we were driving into Tokyo from Narita Airport, and a truck goes by with the camera crew on it, taking footage of me. And they got to the hotel before we did, so they got me coming into the hotel and checking in and hello and say a few words, and then up to my room, and I closed the door. Now, the whole point of it was they're going to do a video, so they show the plane landing, me getting off, going to the hotel. Then I come out of the hotel, go to the venue, and they're showing all this on the video screen, and then I walk out. So it's like I came from the airport right to the clinic. And so they filmed everything, and we got there, and I thought, okay, NHK Hall. And I walk in, and it's like a 3,000-seater. And I go, what, did you rope off the first couple of rows? I go, no, it's sold out. What? I better start practicing. Holy cow, the pressure's on. So we had a ride. It was great. They had a wonderful translator there for me, and there was comedy, and people were so sweet and fantastic. I got back to the hotel. We're going to go out to dinner, and I go to my room, and I couldn't open the door because I didn't realize they filmed my room number, and everybody knew what room I was in. So they jammed all their letters underneath the door, and I couldn't even open the door. It was a pile under there. So it was what a great introduction.
You say this was before you played there with Mr. Big. Was Mr. Big a band then, or is this like David Lee Roth time?
It was right after Roth, and I had the Mr. Big demo, and I used that as a walk-in music. So everybody heard this new band. I'm sure that probably helped. People already knew of the band, and they heard a little bit of it. I did 3 clinics. I did Tokyo, Osaka, and Nagoya. same situation for each. They were all way bigger than I thought I deserved, but it was very kind of them. This is an amazing time. So we went back there with Mr. Big. I was already had my feet wet in the ocean there by Japan, so I knew what I was doing. But again, it was just an incredible experience. It was before the internet, so people would write letters to us and like hand them at the soundboard, and we'd get a pile of letters. Unbelievable. In each envelope, addressed to, Billy, I'd open it up. Inside would be another envelope addressed to them with a stamp on it, paper, a pen, and a little sticker to close the envelope, because they don't do the lick envelope thing, the little sticker. So I learned early on, don't answer everything right away, because then they write back again and it doubles your workload. So I waited to the end, and I literally had a pile 18 inches high on my hotel floor and about 2 feet wide. And I answered every single letter and put a pic in there too. And so we all did things like this from the very beginning. We got there early, we stayed late, we shook every hand, we kissed every baby, we signed everything they had, took photos, and we meant it. They were valuable to us.
That means so much to people. That really does.
Exactly. It created a bond between us from the very beginning. And a lot of the people that came from the very first shows were all there at the last show as well. It was just incredible. This one kid, he was just a little kid on a Razor scooter, skateboard wheel scooters. And I hadn't seen one before, and they were brand new. And he was out with his mom. And I said, where did you get that? And fortunately, he could understand English a little bit. And he says, we'll take you. So him and his mom walked me for blocks away to get to the store where I could buy the Razor. I didn't think they were available in America yet. I might be wrong on that. Now, we stayed in touch over the years. And that was in 89. So that was a long time. So in Osaka, he came to the lobby and contacted me by email, and he's down there with his mom. Now his mom is too old to go to the show now, because she's up there in years. And he's like a young businessman with a suit and tie now. And we remained friends for all these years. We always write back and forth, and stuff like that. So it's just an amazing relationship with just a guy on the street, just a regular guy and his mom, who were sweet people. But that happened dozens and dozens of times with dozens of people. It was just so enriching and inspiring, the culture there. Really great.
That's like a power of music you don't take into consideration or you don't think about. That's just such a bigger picture.
Exactly. And on this last run, a lot of people wrote what they went through in their lives, and they found Mr. Big music, and it helped them out. And some serious things, too. Some serious fatal or near fatal diseases or accidents or deaths in the family, personal problems or divorce, illness. Even a couple of people that were considering committing suicide. I saved all those emails. There'll be a book someday. But some of them are so touching. I know all musicians know this, but to be reminded of occasionally is nice. When you put music out there, it touches a lot of people in a lot of ways. And it's quite amazing to see such a positive thing. When you see somebody considering ending their life and they listen to some music and they came around. It's not that unreal to me as well, just in my own personal self. There's music I can listen to that just tears my heart out. Some things that are just so important to me emotionally that I don't like to listen to them in front of other people because I'll tear up and be embarrassed. There's a couple of pieces that are just mean so much to me. And I never thought I would ever create anything that meant anything to anybody, but to see that is just so wonderful. Like I said, I got a folder in my email from people of things of that nature and what it's done for people. And every band has that. Everyone putting music out, or even if you're just performing live and haven't even recorded, you're touching people with that art. And it really is, I believe, the greatest art form. Music really is. Schopenhauer spelled out his reasons why, and I went along with him on that.
What do you think let's say the 25-year-old Billy Sheehan who was playing in the clubs in Buffalo, New York in 70s and early 80s, what would he have made of this journey you've been on? Did he always have big dreams and ambitions back then?
Not like that. My ambitions were more like right here. I didn't look at career as much as this being the driving force behind everything. So I never thought, hey, maybe someday I'll play in England. And I never thought about it because it was kind of out of my range. I couldn't imagine how it would happen. I'm there in Buffalo. Hope someday we can put a record out and maybe they'll play it on the radio and woohoo, that'd be it. The one station in Buffalo will play at one time and all right.
Just piece by piece.
Piece by piece, it came together like a giant set of Legos. I don't know what the heck happened.
I was wondering, with you being from Buffalo, how often you've bumped into Robbie Takak, bassist from the Goo Goo Dolls?
Good question. We do a Christmas show every year, and he has a Music Cares charity. And so we partnered with him, and we donate the proceeds to his organization. I think they help out musicians and do things that are music related in schools and what have you. So I think this year coming up is our 10th year.
No way.
He's come out to a couple of the shows and got up and sang or played, but it's turned into quite a great thing. Now we're doing it at a place called Babeland, which is a converted, amazing church in downtown Buffalo. Annie DeFranco made that her studio when she lived there. I'm not sure she lives there anymore. It's a beautiful concert hall now. And our last show last year was there. This year it's going to be there again. We got a full horn section, 4 horns, B3 player, amazing drummer, guitar, bass singers, guests, special guests coming up. We do a whole Christmas thing and do a whole bunch of other songs, and it's a riot. It's great to go back there and do it. So he was the guy that we partnered with to do that.
I think Robbie plays Yamaha basses as well.
I believe he does, yeah. So we got that, both of that in common.
I actually found a lovely quote from him that said, while stylistically you're both very different in your playing, he remembers always watching Talas back in the clubs, and seeing your career pan out made him realize there were possibilities outside your mutual hometown. I was like, that's really, really cool. That's awesome.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I was so pleased with their success. It was good to see a hometown band make it like that.
You've openly talked about the influence of guys like Paul Samwell-Smith of the Yardbirds and Tim Bogart being massive influences on your playing. But was there any players in your hometown who you saw when you were younger thought, wow, that guy is cool?
Yeah, that's why I play bass, is because of Joe Hesse. He lived around the corner from me. The Hesse brothers, Jimmy played keyboard and Joe was bass. And they would rehearse in their basement there, just right around the corner from my house. And they had a band called the Rockin' Paramounts. And they were a pretty big band, pre-Beatles. And so they all had the grease hair and and then the Beatles came out. Everybody washed their hair out, got Beatle boots, and everything changed. But I'd sit outside. I was a kid, and I had older brother and sisters would hang out with them. So they wouldn't let me in because I was just a miserable little kid. So I could sit outside by the basement window, and the basement window would shake. But, oh, that's from the bass, from Joe's bass. How cool. I'd have to go home early, and I'd be in bed. I could hear the bass, that's Joe's bass. And my brother we'd listen on the radio. Yeah, you heard that thing there? Yeah, that's bass. Yeah, like Joe plays. Yeah. He had a Triumph motorcycle, a beautiful girlfriend, and he even had a cool walk. So I wanted to be like Joe. And he was my launching pad. So remember the first time he had a bass, he let me come in the house one time, and he had his bass there. And I said, he goes, pick it up. And I picked it up, and I plucked it up, and I got a blister instantly. So instantly the bass bit back, so I knew it was a match made in heaven. So he was just practicing with his drummer, Tommy Coyle. And I said, Joe, where's the rest of the band? He goes, well, I practice with the bass and drums because the bass and drums go together. So when the drummer hits his bass drum, I got to play a note. So before I even became a bass player or owned a bass, I learned the best and most fundamental, important piece of information you need to know about a bass player is that you play what the drummer plays. And so my whole life, I've been about drummers. And that Joe planted the seed that created that. So I owe him a great dad. He's still a dear friend of mine. I hear from him very often. And he's just a wonderful guy and a great player and a dear, dear friend.
That's an amazing story. I love that. The guy who got me to play bass guitar was Todd Jensen, who I think you toured with in Mr. Big when he was in Hardline back around 1993. Yeah. Dean Castronovo was in Hardline as well. Was you in a band together or at some point tried to get something together?
Almost. Mike Varney brought Yngwie to America to start a band with me and Dean. That was the original plan. I was still in Buffalo, so it didn't come together. I was in a situation I could drop everything and go out there. So Dean was in the Wild Dogs at the time, and what a great player.
And singer as well.
Oh, come on. You're so great. So unfortunately, it didn't happen. I can imagine what might have happened if we all played together. It could have been quite a wild ride.
Because it's crazy because those three guys, Todd Jensen, Dean Castronovo, and Neil Schon, they're all Journey now. So Journey is pretty much all of Hardline, except for the Gioeli brothers, which is pretty cool.
Makes sense. It makes sense. Makes sense to me. Yeah, I liked Hardline. I thought they were a good band.
That album was awesome. And I think the Electric Boys are on that tour too.
They were, and they were another great band.
Connie Bloom is a beast. The singer-guitarist. He's great.
Yeah, really, really great. And Enough's Enough. It was another opener for us.
Johnny Monaco. I think he was your roadie for a while.
Oh, he is the greatest. I love him. I see his postings all the time. He came out on the crew with us for a little while one time. We would make him get up and sound check and sing a song and stuff like that. He's really a talented guy, too. Really great. Funny guy, too.
He's awesome.
Yeah, we were lucky to have an opening spot. And so we always try to share the wealth by giving other bands a good spot with us. We did 2 Rush tours, the complete Presto tour, and then half of the Roll of Bones. Bryan Adams, we opened up for Aerosmith in Europe. We opened up for Scorpions and Great White, and Mr. Big was a tour. We had good fortune to have a lot of great tours.
I want to show you something that had a big effect on my playing.
All right.
These 2 tapes, particularly Bass Secrets. And whilst never reached anything to compare to your style, I did learn a hell of a lot from your, just your attitude and approach and the way you put yourself across. On Bass Secrets, I love the jams with you and Pat, just the 2 of you in the pocket with each other. It was all very inspiring.
Bass and drums, there you go.
There you go. I mean, those videos, not just yours, but they were everywhere back in the day. Did you have any hesitation in doing them initially?
No, I started doing clinics way, way early on. I don't even know how it started. The first clinic I ever did was in Pittsburgh, and Paul Gilbert attended before I actually knew him.
No pressure.
No, he was just, he was, just beginning. Remember, we play a show, and the one tall kid in front, because the stage was only this high. So Paul was like he was right there. My microphone was here, and Paul was there. And then one time we had his band open up, and I thought, hey, the guitar player's pretty good, And then he went on, of course, to amazement as he grew so incredibly. But yeah, it was my first clinic ever, and I didn't really know what to do, so I just kind of, just started talking and explaining how I came about with what I did, and took some questions, and I did a lot of them. So when I did those tapes, I kind of knew what people would ask because I'd done enough clinics to understand what they were looking for. So I kind of built it around that. So having done those clinics early on helped me to make that a little more focused of a tape. I saw some tapes where a lot of videos where guys just kind of wanted to show you how great they were. So, yeah, but it's not helping me. So I tried to pull it back and just try to explain things to people that I thought would have a positive effect. And now recently I've been doing here in Nashville during the pandemic, I did a lot of master classes one-on-one. So people would come, and we had people fly in from all over too, and come to Nashville with a wife and kids, drop them for a couple hours and come and do their thing with me. And it was very successful. But we sit down face to face for about an hour, videotape the whole thing, give them the video. I'm going to start doing them again here if I get some time. But it was really great to sit down with another player, and I was just saying, so play something. Show me what you do. Okay, I see what's going on here. Great, that's cool, that's good. But how about, and I would kind of take them down another path, and I encourage all of them to stay in touch with me on social media. And almost one for one, everyone did contact me, and they really saw, and my goal was I want you to see an improvement in your playing. I want to do something that when you leave here and pursue that, you see and or hear a real difference. Almost everybody did. Not to be so self-congratulatory, but that was my goal, was to really, and it's really been my point of view that anything I do, anyone else could do if you got the right approach. It may take a long time, but I really think it's within everybody's grasp if you really want to pursue it. It might take a lot of sacrifices on your part to get there, and maybe things you're not prepared to do, but I do think ultimately it's possible. We both know it's to get anywhere on any instrument, it's a challenge. But I was glad to see, and again, your reference to those tapes, a lot of things that I saw were successful from those tapes I've included and incorporated into my master classes when I sit down with someone. But the one thing that got the most response worldwide, still hear about it to this day, constantly, was it fast, fancy lick? No. Was it how to get a great bass sound? No. It was strap length. People come up to me and say, man, you think our strap length changed everything for me? Because as I'm sitting here, the bass is here. When I stand up, the strap, it goes down here. And then everything changes and you can't play. And I remember seeing guys, like we had a lot of opening acts when we were still back in the club days. And I see a guy in the dressing room like, oh, this guy's pretty good. Go on stage and he's just, oh, nothing's working. I realized your strap is another foot longer, bro. You practice like this and then go on stage like that, So I had observed that to be true. And for myself too, because I initially had a leather strap. And as we soak in hot, wet, sweaty nights in bars for 7 nights a week, this thing, it would incrementally stretch a little bit until eventually I'm going, why can't I play that anymore? Oh, I see. So anyway, but the strap length was the, of all the things on both those tapes, that's the one I've heard most about.
I remember you talking about it, Tim. I don't know what it was. It must be on an interview or a YouTube video somewhere. I think you said you was doing a clinic one time and one kid got up and played your bass. You'd had like new strings on your bass and instantly you killed the strings. And I consider myself a bit of a string killer as well. As soon as I pick one up, it loses the tone straight away. I don't know what it is.
If you don't have calluses, your little skin cells are going to be in the rust. Because I've used strings as a wire saw. I had to cut a piece of wood and I didn't have a saw, and I would take a string and back and forth and go right through it. That's stainless steel and it's sharp. So I generally have pretty solid, strong calluses. But yeah, when anyone would pick up my bass with no calluses, they'd leave their DNA all over it.
I think my calluses are pretty good. I must have sweaty fingers or something like that gets in them because they're gone straight away.
I think it was Rick Derringer that had some kind of a thing where his sweat had a real alkaline or acid to it. I forgot what the condition was called. Nothing serious. And he had a real hard time keeping his guitars would like rust out, and I have to look further. But I remember hearing some kind of rumor to that effect. I might not have it exactly accurate.
Did you ever get any numbers or any idea how many copies those VHS tapes sold back in the day?
No, but I did well with it. I actually remember getting a royalty check that was a significant amount of money. They're all on YouTube for free now. So I was going to maybe do a commentary, like have the thing run and stop and go, okay, what I meant here was...
That would be cool.
Or ignore that last part.
Have you always been comfortable in those clinic situations?
Yeah, it seems a natural thing because I do really enjoy helping my fellow players. It's a real big thing. I've been fortunate to have guys sit down with me and explain this is how it works and go, I get it now. So that's been valuable to me. So I like to return the favor if I can. And a lot of people, even accomplished players that don't need any help from me by any means, but sitting down and comparing notes, you can always come up with some great stuff. Victor Wooten lives here in Nashville now, and he's just a grand master. I'd love to just sit down and have a bass dinner with him. Been out to his place a couple times, and just a wonderful guy. Jeff Berlin is here now, too, one of my favorite players. Tom Peterson from Cheap Trick is here, and a bunch of other guys. So, yeah, it's nice to sit down with somebody that knows what Mohini Day moved here to Nashville, too.
Who's not there these days?
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. It's becoming a bass emporium here.
Do you ever get tempted to, I mean, there's so many bars and clubs in Nashville. You ever get tempted to do any open mics or get up and do jams or anything? You must get invites all the time.
A little bit, but I'm usually, when I'm home and I'm off tour, I'm kind of withdrawn a little. It would be like a busman's holiday, they used to call it. Guy drives a bus, gets a holiday, goes for a bus ride. But it would be fun to do. I've gotten up a couple times here and there. Recently, I did there's a band called The Last International. They were playing a festival a couple of slots before us, or maybe just one, I'm not sure. Great female lead singer was also playing bass, so she asked me to come up, and I learned one of their songs. I just said, I'll play her bass. I know she was like a 3/4 size Mustang bass, and the strings are like this close together. So I played with a pick, and I had a riot. What a blast it is to play with a pick sometimes. It was really, we had a great time. That was the last time I got up with somebody in recent times, but they were really good too, and great singer, great songwriting, and I got to play with a pick. It was cool.
Now, Mr. Big have finished touring. Do you have any immediate plans for the next few years of your career? You're obviously never short of projects. Could you see yourself doing more clinics or sharing stories from your career? I mean, that could be a tour in itself.
Yeah, well, I've had a couple of people talk to me about a book, and I'm an avid reader. I understand what it takes sometimes, to some degree, to deliver what you're trying to say in book format. It's different than you and I talking here. And I'm a fan of the English language, and I collect dictionaries and books on language and word history and stuff like that. It's kind of one of my little side interests. So I may pursue doing some kind of a book at some point. But in the meantime, I got a ton of songs to record. Got a little backlog because I told everyone, wait till I'm back home from tour and then send me. So we got about 30 on the burner right now and more coming in. So that'll keep me and my engineer busy for a couple of weeks. But then I've got a couple of configurations of people that I've been talking with to go out or to do a record or to just go tour for the hell of it. And the touring season next summer, I hope to have something together and get out there next year. But it'd be nice. We're going to have this time, this autumn, and the autumn in Nashville is just gorgeous right now. The leaves are just starting to fall. Smell is in the air. And we just got 2 brand new kitties, brother and sister. So that... we want to be home and bond with them, and they are already a handful.
What are the names?
Oh, well, they came pre-named, Pistachio, and the other one was called Penguin. Penguin didn't work for us, so my wife changed that to Peppy. Pistachio, the boy, and Peppy, the girl. They're all black. They got some Bombay in them. That little bump of the nose, real triangular head and giant ears, and they are out of control and hilarious. They're still young, though. They're only about 7 weeks, maybe. So they got a lot of growing to do. But they're going to be large, too. Our last cat, Rebel, who passed away last year, he was 20 pounds. He was a big boy. We were just so devastated. We didn't want to get another cat because we were both traveling. Now that we're going to be home, we have time to spend. These little guys are fixing our broken hearts very efficiently. They're just wonderful. We still miss Rebel, though. He was an amazing cat. But yeah, I'm going to do a lot of recording. I got a couple of ideas for some products that I'm designing. electrical, musical kind of things. Now I have time to take each instrument down into my garage and do a fret honing and fix that one broken wire and all that stuff, because I got a wall here.
Man, look at that.
It continues on the other side. This Telecaster was the one I wrote all the Talas stuff and Shy Boy on and everything. But there's a wall and 4 racks on the other side too. There's a lot of instruments. Way too many. I've been a hog, but I can justify it because it's been over 50 years of playing. So if you stretch it out, it's somewhat reasonable.
You mentioned books then, Billy. Alex Van Halen's got his book coming out soon.
I hear.
I'm looking forward to hearing some stories in that. That should be really, really cool.
Yeah, I went to the house. Ed invited me up a few years ago with me, Ed, and Al jammed. I don't know what happened to the tapes.
That would be cool to hear, man.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Was that just off the cuff? They didn't say, like, learn these songs, or just literally a jam?
We just went up and jammed. I've been in touch with Ed over the years, and his loss was really tough for a lot of people, as he had a lot of people that, just had him in their hearts. So it was tough for me because when I was back in Buffalo in a bar band and nothing was happening, Ed would take my call. I could call him and hang out with him on the phone. So as insignificant and nothing as I was, I just talked with Eddie Van Halen. And he was always incredibly kind to me. We talked about playing together several times. And what a wonderful, great guy. And Alex is equally I love all those guys.
When you were jamming with him, did you see the smile from Eddie? Because that'd be like, I'm doing all right here. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, I saw one corner of one lip go up a little bit. That was all I got. No, I'm kidding. But that night I got home, and about 2:00 in the morning, Ed, he was off duty, so he had a couple. And I didn't hear the phone go off, so he left a message. I'm kind of glad he did, because the message is priceless. Like, Billy, you motherfucker. I was like, and he was very pleased with it. So we went on from there. But what a great. He changed so much for so many.
What was the reaction in Buffalo when Talas got that opening slot on the Women and Children First tour? Was that cool between your friend circle and the local bands, or was it like, God damn it?
A funny thing happened. And it's not an unusual thing I found out through the years as I told the story. We were showcasing, Aerosmith was coming to town. We possibly had that opening slot. We just showcased for, I think, CBS Records in New York City. And the guitar player comes and to pick me up to take me to the gig, and he's got a bottle of champagne. I go, we got the Aerosmith gig. He goes, nope. I go, we got signed to CBS. I go, nope. He goes, what? He goes, we're going to open for Van Halen. We didn't even know it was up. What happened was Barbara Skydell for Premier Talent had our demo tape, and unknown to us, sent it to Van Halen. They said, yeah, we'll put him on as an opening act. Bang. So we did about 30 shows, and mind-blowing.
Tell me you watched every night from the side of the stage.
Every single night. We could have left early and made it to a hotel and had a little proper sleep, but we watched every single night. And I always tell people, at their worst night, they were only spectacular. They dropped down to spectacular. And then, of course, went back up into the unknown as far as how awesome they were. And they were great to us. They let us do encores and just mind-blowing experience. And after the thing was done, we ended in Florida, and Premier Talent people said, hey, we got a Pat Benatar show, so if you guys want to jump onto that. And we said, yeah, but we want to go back to Buffalo and tell all our friends, hey, man, it'll be great. So, it was kind of a stupid move on our part, but we had so many friends back there. It was all like one big happy family, Talas and all that. So we get back there. People turned on us like rabid dogs. I couldn't believe it. We were getting in fights with people. Oh, you guys think you're so... No, we don't think anything. We came back to say hi to you. We're all kind of in this together, aren't we?
We're fans. We want to tell you how awesome it was.
Oh, it was heartbreaking. So I went back soon after that, a few years later, and nobody ever got over it. We went back when I joined David Lee Roth. I went back, and I think it was near my birthday or something. And I didn't know there's this undercurrent of animosity. When you come from a relatively small town and get somewhere, everyone else thinks you think you're awesome, and you think that they're nothing, which nothing could be further from the truth in any state of mind.
You experienced social media backlash decades ago.
No kidding. And I was, it bothered me because I was up to bat for Buffalo all the time. That was a supporter and promoter. We started a thing playing in clubs where we could have an opening act to help bands play in front of our crowd so they could start to draw their own people.
You had U2 supporting you at one point, right?
Exactly. I remember when we heard, who's playing with us tonight? Is it U2? I go, what? Is that a submarine? You know, I'd never heard of them before. And people laugh at me now, but no one had heard of them yet. They were just brand new on their station wagon tour or their van tour. They opened up for us. That was the night John Lennon got shot. So they open up and then we're going to do 2 sets. So we get up, do 1 set, took a break, found out about John, didn't say a thing, got up on stage and just started playing Beatles songs all night. And in the crowd, as people realized what happened, we saw people like, oh my God, oh no, you know, it's because it was before the internet and the rumors spreading around that John Lennon was killed and we played for them. Years later, we tell people, yeah, U2 open up for these people. Bullshit, no way, come on. And so they played at Rich Stadium, the Buffalo Bills Stadium, like 80,000 people sold out. And a friend of mine, or somebody who knew me, recorded the show on cassette. And Bono started doing some stage announcements. I remember the first time we played in Buffalo was because the night John Lennon was killed. And there was a couple of people we know on the side of the stage. This one record promoter, Bruce Mosey, goes, Bruce, you were there, and you were there. And it was amazing. We played in front of all these people, probably because we were opening for a band called Talas. And the whole place go, what? So the 80,000 people got schooled. Yeah, it really happened. And so I got that cassette, Bono saying that in my collection. It was pretty cool.
Hold on to that bootleg. That's a good bootleg to have.
Oh, amazing. But overall, you know, I still got a lot of great people in Buffalo and family back there. I don't mean to paint such a dark picture, but it's interesting.
I think that's just a reflection of every town.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. A lot of people I told that story say, yeah, same thing. I went out, I got my deal, came back home, and my ex-girlfriend threw a rock through my window. And for real, I've heard stories of that nature that, you know, people. But yeah, I was never one to, and I was hoping to help a lot of bands and players and whatever. When I got into David Lee Roth, Kim Mitchell from Max Webster, I'd worked with him briefly. I presented a couple of his songs to Dave. We almost did a song called Kids in Action. We'd recorded the music. Dave didn't do the vocals yet, so we ended up not finishing that one. But, you know, it's just to help him out, you know, because him having a song on the Eat 'Em a Smile record would have been a big deal. So we did our best to help. And Robbie from the Goo Goo Dolls, I think they had their gear stolen. And I remember I grabbed one of my basses, some custom thing. It wasn't Yamaha, but some custom thing, and sent it off to him to make sure he had a bass to play with. You know, so we were never snooty about anything at all.
So Robbie played it with a pick on your basses before you ever played it with a pick.
Maybe he did. Could be.
Billy, I'll let you go, but thank you so much for chatting with me. I've really enjoyed it. It's been fantastic.
Oh, I did too. You're my third interview today, and I got 3 good ones in one day. Wonderful people, and because initially a lot of the interviews I would do were just people trying to promote their show more than really do an interview. So most of the interview, the interviewer would be telling me about his career and life and times and what he likes and what his favorite color is. So,
well, I got to show you my VHS tapes. I had to get a little bit.
No, I'm kidding. No, it's my pleasure. Anytime we'll do it again if you need me.
You enjoy the rest of your day. I'm much appreciated.
Great. Thanks a million. I'll see you around. Take care.
Huge thank you to Billy Sheehan for joining me on today's Straight to Video podcast. Such a thrill to have him on the show and be just as cool as I hoped, and to hear all those great stories. You can pre-order the new album The Big Finish live from Mr. Big wherever you get your music, and be sure to keep up to date with Billy on social media as he's always busy and sharing cool stuff. So that's it for this week's episode of the podcast. I appreciate you listening. So until we chat again, make sure to always be kind, please rewind and unwind, and I'll speak to you all real soon.